everyone, while I have the camera out today doing our trip recap from our 16-year wedding anniversary surprise to me, and if you haven't seen that, I'll link them up here below, or I'll link it up here in the cards in the sky. I wanted to talk about traveling in general. So one thing that I did not discuss in 2020 is, are we traveling again? And the answer is yes. So one of the reasons why Matt and I wanted to do this trip so much, and he surprised me with it, we had talked about it for forever, was we wanted to get back out there traveling again. And as we were on this trip, we were talking about, is it safe to start traveling again? So let me do half and half. So the first half of this video, I want to talk about what happened in 2020 with us, and then what we're looking at for 2021. When we started 2020, we already had, and she didn't know it at the time, we already had Madeline's 13th birthday trip booked because it was at a private cabin in Townsend, Tennessee, and it was for the weekend of her birthday. Now, her birthday falls shortly before the 4th of July, which is summer, which is a huge traveling time. So we booked 9 months in advance to have Madeline's birthday trip as close to her birthday as possible. And we were able to make that happen. So beginning of 2020, we already had her trip booked. Not long into 2020, we had an opportunity to book with a special discount with rewards points and all that through IHG. Not like a sponsorship, just like it was like a special promotion thing that we were able to take advantage of, and we were able to book Rebecca's trip. So then we started planning out. We had a goal for 2020. Our goal was each one of our kids was going to get a one-on-one trip. In 2019 we had started taking a lot more family trips. In 2017 it really kicked off with our Disneyland and Sea first ever family vacation. If you haven't seen that video or that playlist or the surprise video, any of that, I'll link it up here. But 2017, the Disney trip really kicked it off. Well, 2019, we were able to do family trips. We did a family trip for Sarah's birthday to Dreamworld Resort, link it up here, or in the cards at the end. I may run out of links because I only get 5. And we also did a trip to Loyston Point. 2020, we were like, okay, this is a year we're going to do individual trips for each of the kids. So we started off in the beginning of March. We already had Rebecca's solo trip planned, and we went on that trip. I may just link them all down in the description because there's a lot of trips I'm talking about here. And we went ahead and went. The weekend after we came back, everything shut down. And it was just kind of like, oh, okay. So we were super glad to get to go on that trip, and we're like, well, how bad is this gonna get? Well, then April comes up, which is, we had a birthday that month, and then we were still in isolation, just complete lockdown, shelter in place orders and all that. Then May comes around and we had another birthday, and we were still in shelter in place orders. Then June came around, and right at the end of June, we were finally out, and because we were staying in a cabin, just us, with no anybody coming in and cleaning in between, we were able to go. So in reality, Rebecca got a solo trip and Madeline got a solo trip. But the part that we never really talked about on camera that we had been avoiding because it hurt so much, because we had all these big plans, things were really going good in our lives, we were in a really good financial stability, things were just lining up. We were supposed to go on a 15-year, let me start back real quick. When Matt and I first got married, we promised ourselves, no matter how many kids we had, no matter how busy our life was, even if it was for one night, every 5 years, we were going to go away, just the two of us. So our 15-year anniversary, after getting back from our Disney cruise in 2017, 3 years before this we were even considering it, we immediately started planning taking a Disney cruise for our 15th wedding anniversary. And we were supposed to go either the first weekend of April or the first weekend of May. Or not weekend, the first week of April, the first week of May. Then the cruise is shut down. And it just hurt so bad because it was like, why is all this going on? Life is going great. You know, we're doing everything we're supposed to. We're working hard. We're raising our kids. Why? And it kind of just like hit us like, wow, this is not what we had planned at all. And I know a lot of people had it so much worse. He worked the entire time because the state of Tennessee actually declared his company as a essential business through 2020. And so they've not shut down. They have continued working the entire time, and not everybody's had that. So like, I know like people had it worse than we did, but we literally had spent 3 years budgeting and planning out and spacing out to where we could have clothes bought ahead of time, the entire cruise paid for, transportation down there, a stay at a Walt Disney Resort the night before, had a resort picked out, rental cars. We didn't have to worry about like putting that kind of mileage on our car driving down, because in the Knoxville area, it's not much difference versus flying versus taking your own vehicle, like time wise, unless you're flying straight to Sanford, I can't remember what it's called, that airport that's like an hour outside of Orlando. So we had everything budgeted out, planned out. We had a plan of action. And then to get to 2020 and have to cancel it was just kind of like, this is how planned out we were. I still have a suitcase in my, like we have a storage area for our suitcases that's separate from any other closet. I still have a suitcase packed where we had planned ahead for like Disney toothbrushes, ponchos, lanyards for our Key to the World cards, specific Disney. I eventually, end of last year, unpacked clothes that we had specifically bought because the kids were going to outgrow them before they got to wear them. And I had bought them a size ahead so that we could wear them. So we ended up having to cancel that. And then we went on Madeline's trip in end of June, and that was about it. And it was so stressful for so long, and it finally, at the end of 2020, it was like, we didn't have a bad year. There were other things that happened in 2020 that still made 2020 a really good year, but travel wise, it wasn't the best. So for our family, we love teaching our kids as a journey. Like, we want them to experience life and see things firsthand. And we feel like experiences versus stuff, that the kids get more out of gifts of experiences versus stuff. So we've always leaned more towards, we want to do experiences, not just pay for big expensive party for one day for their birthdays and then have stuff. And they've seemed to really like it too. So end of 2020 did not end the way we wanted it to travel wise. It's 2021 now, and I was still just kind of playing it by ear. I was like, you know, this is what I want to do, but is it going to be a reality? So then to get the surprise that yes, we were actually going to go on a trip and be surprised that we were going to go, it was just like, wow, we're doing this, we're traveling. And so I didn't really have a lot of time to let that set in, because I had 24 hours to get like me packed up, make sure the kids had food for while I was gone, which the sitter would have taken care of that if I would have wanted her to. But I try to do that just so she doesn't. She's already watching my kids. I don't want to make her have to go to the grocery store with my kids. And I didn't want her to have to deal with like ordering pizza and stuff. So I had 24 hours to like get them food, reschedule their schoolwork, all that. It was really nice to get away. And then while we were gone, it was like, eye-opening to us of, we could start doing this again. Like I said, I think you'll see this a week later. watch the video before this of a recap of how traveling actually went on our 16-year trip. But here's where we are. So that's what happened in 2020 was we had to cancel the biggest trip ever that we had. Well, the second biggest trip that we had ever planned. The first one being our first Disney vacation. And the second one being we were going to go on another cruise. 2021, what are we looking at? Because a couple of people were like, we didn't even know you were going to go on a cruise. And honestly, we kind of prefer to talk about stuff like closer to time, just for number one, our privacy. Number two, that way we're not like dragging it out for you all, because I don't want to be like, oh hey, we're going on a cruise, and 2 years later you see cruise videos and be like, you thought you said you were going on a cruise, you waited a long time for that. So I don't want to be like that. So that's why we usually prefer to do it like right before. Plus our kids, somebody asked this in a comment one time, our kids prefer to do the surprises. One of ours doesn't. One of ours actually prefers to know ahead of time so that she can plan trips out. One does. The other ones, like with Sarah when she went to Dream War, she wanted that. She's like, if I get a trip for my birthday, please make it part of the present, because technically the trip is my present, so make it part of the surprise. We're like, okay, we can do that. So we did. So Matt literally came home with the present to give her, to let her know we were leaving an hour after he got home to go check in at Dream War. So some of our kids love that. They want that surprise. They said also because like they sleep better the night before a trip and aren't exhausted the whole first day if they don't know about it ahead of time. So they like this. And then like the one that doesn't, we just kind of mix it with her, you know, some where she knows and some where we surprise her. And that way, like if it's big, like for her trip, we gave her 6 weeks to plan her trip so that she could plan out exactly everything she wanted to take with her. So that worked out really well for her. But overall, they like the surprises. And that's another reason why we wait so long to tell you all. So here is what 2021 looks like so far. I have no idea. Literally. So it does. I have no idea. Let's look at it this way. Let's instead of looking at it as this is my 2021 itinerary, this is my 2021 travel bucket list or travel wish list. Eventually for 2021, at the end of 2020, we ended the year with going to Cumberland Gap, which was so awesome. We got to stand where the Kentucky-Virginia state lines meet, where Daniel Boone came through and crossed through on the Wilderness Pass. And that was awesome to get to do that and stand on that line where they were and stand on certain stone markers where historic things happen. And that, like, I'm a historic person. Like, I'm a historic buff, so I love stuff like that. So that was really awesome. But one thing we didn't get to do because it was rainy and super foggy, and the rain, the higher up you went, the rain was actually turning into sleet. So we ended up having to get off the mountain. One of the things we have a goal to do for 2021 for a day trip is we're going to go back and hike to the point where the Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia state lines meet and it actually meets over the tunnel connecting Kentucky and Tennessee at one of their northern points. So we want to do that. Another wish list item is we probably aren't going to do individual trips like one-on-one for each of the kids. Basically what we considered doing was it's going to be a makeup year. So are we still going to do special things for each kid's birthday? Absolutely. One of them that had a trip last year, we actually already have like a big to-do planned, but it's going to be all local. And she's fine with it, and we've got it all worked out. We're not going to film all of it because I don't want to have to feel like, I don't want my kids to grow up feeling like everything has to be on YouTube if it happens in our home. So there are some stuff we won't share, but I will share like probably some of the actual, like when we're going out and about, but I won't share like the family private party that night. Another one, instead of doing a solo trip, we're probably going to make it into a family trip around the same time as that one's birthday. The one who did not get a solo trip goal is to get her a solo trip for this year. Another goal is to take a second just couples weekend for Matt's 35th birthday this year. So we're gonna try to do that. There is a ladies retreat thing that I could actually safely do. I mean, I say that safely like that because I find that safety usually depends on what your reasonable risks are, and what I would consider my reasonable risks yes, I could do it safely. I'm still up in the air about it because I don't know. It's just kind of different with just Matt and me in a room versus if I have to share a room with somebody else. But I don't know. We're still kind of debating that. But currently our travel plans are, even if the cruises reopen this year, which they keep pushing it back and pushing it back, I'm not 100% sure if we'll do a cruise yet. And honestly, if we do, it's probably just going to be a surprise we're doing a cruise. Do we want to do a makeup cruise? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to say no. But am I 100% sure we're going to do it? Probably not. However, we are debating, considering, not definite, a beach trip this year. We have never actually, other than like the cruise itself, we have never taken a beach trip. We went to like a beach while we were in Lansing, but we've never like taken a, we're going to the beach trip. And we're considering possibly doing a weekend away at a beach. Other travel plans other than that, no. So far what we're looking at is possibly another stay in Pigeon Forge, a solo trip with one of our kids to a Pigeon Forge area for a weekend. Not sure where we're staying yet. I'm kind of wanting to keep part of that as a surprise because we're still seeing if we can do it because everything could change tomorrow. A solo, another couple's trip, but a weekend long one instead of just a one overnight one. And we're looking at a family trip, possibly to the beach, possibly camping again. We're not sure. So we will take you along as we travel, but I kind of felt like now was finally the time I could open up and be like, this is what we were supposed to get to do. Yes, it hurt so bad. And I honestly, I cried about it for a while because like stuff happened on our 10-year anniversary where we came home and basically we came home and had to deal with some stuff in our family. And it was heartbreaking to come home from a trip to do that. So 15-year anniversary was supposed to be like our makeup trip for what happened. And the kids were fine. Matt was fine. It wasn't like immediately in our house. It was other family members, things that happened. And I mean, that's not really a way you want to have, that's not really a reason why you want to have to come home from a trip. So 15-year was supposed to make up for that. And we didn't get to do that. So now it's, like I said, 2021 is probably going to be a makeup year. Will we be able to knock any more states off our list? If you're new, we're trying to do as many of the 50 states as we can before our youngest, who is a tween this year, turns 18 years old. Will we be able to knock any states off our list this year? I don't know. Would it be cool? Yeah, it would be awesome. But that's honestly not my plan. My plan, honestly, is to look at maybe more local travel other than beach, because Tennessee is not a beach state other than like lakes. I want like an ocean beach. Ocean beach is still different than lake beach. Just trust me, it is. So far, that's our goal, is we're going to try to get a solo trip for the one that didn't have one last year. Try to get more couple time, because while we love our kids and want to spend as much time investing in our kids for the 18 years that we have with each of our children, at least, we also feel like every now and then it's good for the kids to have some time with just like, you know, away from us, and then a little bit of time for us to have time to come apart, spend time drawing close together, and then coming back together as a family and doing stuff together. So nothing absolutely definite. The next thing would we probably won't do anything in March. I might do some more home renovation stuff in March and kick that back up. We took a break over the holidays to take care of holidays. Also coming up, I'm in my room, we're going to do our 1-year Nectar mattress review, because they actually do a 1-year warranty on these that you can return it up to a year later. We've got like our homeschool review. I'm not really like a really big homeschooler stuff. I just feel like naming I'll throw this in. Our channel says This Homeschooling Adventure because there were some channels that like people were like, oh, how do you travel all the time? We're like, oh, we homeschool. And people were like, oh, well, I wish you would have told me that up front. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why is we do homeschool, and we do want to show people how we homeschool, but we're not like solely talking about homeschooling, which is why we call it This Homeschooling Adventure. This is us. We homeschool, and we're always ready for our next adventure. That's what we've always tell people. It's a mix of everything we do, and homeschooling allows us to be able to have the freedom to be on that next adventure and see where life takes us. Sometimes life takes us at home snow days. Sometimes life takes us, you know, preparing meals at home. But the adventure part, I want to get back to the adventure part of like adventures, showing the kids the world. And I traveled a lot as a kid and I loved it. Matt traveled a lot, like back and forth to his parents' home state of Michigan when he was a kid. So like we both love a mix of time at home together. Like tonight's our family game night and we love having family game night. We really, really do. It's just like a time for all of us to set everything aside and spend time together gaming, and it's really fun. But we also love that adventure part, and I love being able to take my kids out and see the awe in their eyes. Like when we went to Cumberland Gap, getting to watch them look out over Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, and all you see is fog and you're in a cloud. It was just so awesome. And I love seeing that adventure in their eyes and them learning from life as we go. So that's currently what we're looking at. That's what happened in 2020. That's what we're looking forward to in 2021. If you have any ideas, if you are in the greater Knoxville, East Tennessee, southern area around that, of ideas of places that you want us to try, let us know in the comments below. We love hearing suggestions from people of places to try. Somebody suggested the Sun Sphere years ago and we loved it. We actually went, we've been twice. I'll try to link that in the cards below or in the description below too. We loved it. It was great. Some people have suggested Imes, so we tried Imes. If you have suggestions of places, let us know. We're always willing to look into other places to go. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps us to do all the things that we get to do for our kids. And we hope to see you next time.